My question was inspired by a recent interview/conversation you did, Peter, on the Sentientism podcast with Jamie. And near the end of your conversation, you talk about a case of free-range chickens coming into existence, and how if we bring them into existence and they have, really, nice lives by their standards, not by some sort of bureaucrat standards somewhere, but with the condition that at some point we will kill them, before they would naturally die. You said that this case, you haven't come to a sort of conclusion on yet as to whether you think it would be good to create this chicken or not. And I thought I would ask the question, given that there's, there's no chicken to want to come into existence, what do you think the case would be for bringing them into existence, given there's no one to want it in the first place?
Yeah, well, you've raised a deep philosophical issue, and the idea that because there is no one who wants to come into existence, therefore it would be fine to cease bring them into existence, I think has other counterintuitive problems, and that's why this is a difficult problem, because any solution has something counterintuitive. Because, for example, it would give us an easy way of overcoming the climate change problem. We just all get sterilised, and then we can party up, we can use whatever dirty energy we like. It doesn't matter because, climate change is already around, it's not great, but we're going to die, and those future generations are not going to suffer from it. Well, is that okay? I mean, think about that intuitively. I don't like it, I must say. I think that there's something wrong with the idea that we would not bring beings into existence who may have a really rich and positive future. And you mentioned the long-termists in effective altruism here. Some of the more optimistic ones, like Will MacAskill, think that we will eventually solve all the technological problems about feeding people, and we may colonise other planets, perhaps throughout the Milky Way galaxy, and there could be vast numbers of people all living rich and positive lives. But if it's a bad thing that doesn't happen, that we do sterilise ourselves and party and go, then we have, the same could apply to the chickens, right? If the hens are living good lives, there's something positive about that. Now, whether it outweighs the fact that they're killed prematurely is another question. But I don't find it an easy issue to solve, and I've looked at a lot of the philosophical literature. It was really started in a deep way by Derek Parfit, who was an Oxford philosopher who was there when I was a graduate student and who I became a friend later on. Sadly, he died, I think, 6 years ago. And he didn't solve it, and he was, perhaps the closest to a genius that I've ever spoken to as a philosopher. And there are many other bright philosophers working on it who haven't solved it, so that's why I'm prepared to say in that interview and elsewhere, I can't definitively refute the idea that bringing chickens or other animals into existence is not a benefit for them that could justify ending their lives prematurely.
Thank you. And if anyone wants to get an ethical vasectomy and party hard out the front, I will be there afterwards.